Hello, my name is Dr. Adam J. Bock. Welcome to Technology Entrepreneurship, MHR 441 and MHR 741. In this short audio presentation, I'm going to provide you with a brief introduction to technology entrepreneurship, tell you just a little bit about myself, give you some information about the course, and a couple of next steps to get you started. Technology entrepreneurship has had a disproportionately significant impact on economics and society over the last couple of decades. Nearly all the economic growth and job growth in the U.S. has come from high-growth technology companies. This in itself suggests that we should have a better understanding of how these firms get started and grow and succeed. But my guess is that you're interested in this course because you've read anecdotes about these organizations, and of course because these organizations have significantly affected your lives. Companies that are household names now like Amazon, Google, Facebook, Groupon, and so forth. At the same time that technology entrepreneurship is exciting, there's a number of other factors that we should be aware of with regard to how technology entrepreneurship works and the effects that it has. First, technology entrepreneurship tends to be extremely capital intensive. That is, these organizations usually require large amounts of fundraising capital in order to grow and succeed. And you've probably seen news stories about the extraordinary amounts of money that companies like Uber raised on their way to achieving success in the market. One of the reasons that technology entrepreneurship has become so interesting and so well reported in the popular media is because it's incredibly lucrative for the big winners. And you've also probably seen stories about how wealthy some of the specific founders of companies have become. People like, for example, the founders of Google, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, and, for example, the founder of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg. But it's important to remember that these are outliers. These are the unusual situations. The vast majority of technology entrepreneurs do not make money like that. And it's incredibly important to recognize that there is a bias in the popular media towards reporting the incredible success stories and not reporting the vast majority of organizations that either fail or don't achieve that type of success. Technology entrepreneurship is shaping our society and our politics. Everything from election issues to the ethics of healthcare are being driven by the activities of technology entrepreneurship. The reality is that legislative action at whether the local, state, national or international level, it lags far behind the activities of technology entrepreneurs. And this is why we see situations where companies like Uber are able to move into a market where the law is not completely clear about whether or not their activities actually conform to legal requirements. And now we're seeing, and companies like Airbnb as well, we're seeing now local, state, and national legislation trying to address some of the legal issues that have emerged because of the activities of technology ventures. Finally, technology entrepreneurship is a lot more difficult than it looks. Again, when we see these stories, it appears as if someone has an idea and suddenly these companies explode to the national or international level with apparently very little effort. And that simply isn't the way that these organizations work. And we'll try to learn a little bit more about that, although the focus of the course will be trying to understand when technology opportunities are really viable. As I mentioned, the failure rates tend not to be addressed as clearly in the popular media. We hear the great stories about this big successes, the companies that scale globally and generate huge amounts of money for their founders and investors. But the reality is that the vast majority of these types of organizations fail, and they either fail on a modest scale, that is, they just don't grow very much, or they fail completely and lose absolutely everything. One of the reasons that we don't hear about this very much is because so many of these organizations do require professional venture capital, And venture capitalists don't generally like to publish information about the companies that don't succeed. They want to tout their successes. They want to attract exciting new companies. And so one way of thinking about this is that they bury their dead very quietly. That is, when companies fail, their venture capitalists try very hard to make sure that not too much information gets out about exactly what happened or how long it took or how much money was lost in the process. So with all of this, you might be asking, okay, Dr. Bock, why are you teaching this course? Well, I'm teaching this course for a number of different reasons. I have studied technology entrepreneurship for more than 10 years now. I did my PhD in innovation and entrepreneurship. I've written 3 books about technology entrepreneurship and a variety of peer-reviewed papers that address technology entrepreneurship, including financing, crowdfunding, angel investing, business models, and life science ventures. But I'm also a serial entrepreneur. I'm the co-founder of 5 biotechnology startup companies. 4 of them spun out of universities, and so far 2 of them have seen some real success. Norides, which was spun out of Northwestern, was acquired for $20 million back in 2011. And Stratitech, which is a UW-Madison spin-out, I helped co-found in 1999. And that company was acquired by Mallinckrodt for $187 million in 2016. So I have seen this process numerous times. I've been actively involved from the start in a number of different companies. I also was directly involved in facilitating $10 million of venture capital investments into early stage startup companies by a series of angel investors and angel investing networks. I do strategy consulting, executive education. I do consulting for technology transfer offices, sit on boards, and mentor dozens of entrepreneurs around the world. In this course, we'll cover roughly 6 topics. This quick course introduction, which is online only. Then we'll talk through areas of entrepreneurship and opportunities, company formation and intellectual property, business model and strategy. We'll then address how to get from technology to sales. And then there's a large section on finance, simply because it plays such a disproportionately important role for technology ventures. Your textbook is Technology Ventures by Byers, Dorff, and Nelson. These are Stanford instructors and venture capitalists. This is the textbook that has been used for many years in Stanford's very famous E145 course, Technology Entrepreneurship. All of you have automatically purchased the e-text already, and it should be available to you in Canvas. Just real quickly, I made this decision because the e-text is less expensive than the physical textbook. You can still print out large sections of it if you like. You automatically have access to it at the start of the course, so we don't have situations where students can't get a copy of the book. And then there's just a variety of other issues associated with being able to take digital notes and so on and so forth. There are a few other readings that will be assigned via Canvas, so please do take a look at that. We will not be reading the entire textbook during the semester. It's a relatively dense textbook. We're going to cover about 12 or 13 out of the 20 chapters in it. If you're very interested in technology entrepreneurship, obviously it would be a good idea for you to take a look at some of those other chapters that we can't cover because they're a little more advanced. If you are planning on or already launching a technology venture, I think that this will be an invaluable resource for you. In the spirit of entrepreneurship, I wanted to give you the opportunity to determine how much you want to learn and the activities you want to do. So for example, some of you might be taking this course simply because it fulfills the certificate requirements, and your preference would be to kind of get through the course, learn what you have to learn, do the assignments, and be done with it. And I can respect that completely. And it's wonderful you have an interest and you're taking the course, and that's great. And so, but some of you might be taking the course because you have an innovation, because you're interested in becoming a technology entrepreneur. And while things like multiple choice questions might be very useful for you, what might be better for you would be some real world experience. So you have a couple of choices to make. The first one is you can either submit multiple choice questions that you'll create based on the readings, and there will be 10 of those to submit during the course of the semester. Or instead of those, you can go out and find a technology entrepreneur to interview, and then having completed that interview, you can submit a report about what you learned from that experience. The second choice you'll need to make is whether you prefer to take exams or whether you prefer to do the semester-long project. Again, exams will be fairly straightforward, covering primarily information from the textbook. The semester-long project provides a couple of different mechanisms for you to get credit. One is you could study a technology venture out in the region. You could get an internship at a technology venture and receive credit based on writing a report about that. Or if you have your own technology that you are thinking of commercializing, you can conduct a research project in order to try to determine whether or not that technology could be commercialized viably. So all of the information about this is provided in Canvas. I encourage you to take a careful look at those because you will need to make a decision relatively quickly, as I'll point out in just a moment. Here is how the assessment breaks down. There's a number of assignments that everyone needs to do. The first assignment is a student responsibility form committing to the requirements of the course. There are a series of quizzes that everyone will take based on the readings, just to make sure that everybody's keeping up in the readings. There's a memo to write about patents and trademarks, and then you begin to have your choices. You can either submit the weekly multiple choice questions based on the readings, or you can do the Tech Entrepreneur Report. And then later on in the course, you'll make a decision. You'll need to either take both exams, which are each worth 30%, or you'll complete the final project. You submit a mid-course update, which is worth 10%, and then the final report, which is worth 50%. So this is something you're going to want to think about relatively quickly. So let me help you get started in the course. This is a blended course. We have a limited number of lecture sessions, and I expect you to attend every single session. Please check the syllabus for additional information about this. If you have questions, please let me know. As I've mentioned, you need to make some decisions pretty quickly about the work you choose to do in the course. There are assignments due in the first week of the course. Make sure you're familiar with the schedule and you know when those early assignments are due. And then an important note that might be different than other courses you've taken, late assignment submissions are generally not accepted in this course. So it is extremely important that you get up to speed quickly and know when assignments are due and get them submitted on time. My goals for you in this course are very simple. I really want you to learn something about technology entrepreneurship. I don't necessarily want you to be a technology entrepreneur. If you'd like to be one, I think that's fantastic, and I hope you have the opportunity to explore it. But I am just as happy if you complete this course and say, gosh, that was really interesting, Dr. Bock, but I have no real interest in being a technology entrepreneur. It is not for everybody. It is in many ways a passion and a calling. And I encourage you to see the course as an opportunity to kind of learn a lot about it and think about what it means to you. As such, I want you to explore your own entrepreneurial intents and interest. What are your motivations? Why are you here? And then if you are really interested personally in technology entrepreneurship, I encourage you to consider doing the optional project work. That will give you the opportunity to explore specific innovations or opportunities. Those might be your own or someone else's. And then do real business research. And for those of you who are scientists, you are master's or PhD level scientists at the University of Wisconsin, this is where there's a tremendous challenge and a tremendous opportunity. The topic of how scientists become entrepreneurs is one of my personal research topics. Every single startup that I have formed has been a partnership with scientists, and it's something that I'd love to talk about in a lot more detail. So I hope this helps you get started with the course, and I look forward to meeting you very, very soon.